That's what I'm telling people, is they want to go against Trump, but Trump has acted like Santa Claus instead of Hitler of what people are trying to accuse him. He gave black people college money for 10 years when Barack only gave them 1 year at a time for 8 years. So even in 4 years, Trump outdealt him as far as in donated money to black colleges to make sure that black people had enough money for college, and rebuilt the infrastructure of the cities when Obama didn't do that. During his 8 years as presidency, Trump did more in 4 years for black people in the African American communities than Barack did in 8 years. Okay? Barack gave people a link card and a flip phone, didn't he? Basically. But they didn't end up with mansions. They still get shot to death on the South Side is what happens. And I hate when people are shooting each other for no reason. Then the innocent people get shot in the face. And I hear it on the news every day in Chicago. And then people want to say the Obamas and all these criminals, Oprah Winfrey, all these rich, black privileged people somehow, who all think they're white collar yuppie Jews who are all racist Uncle Toms, who turn against their own people and then vote against them democratically and politically, and then they try to create a plantation politics with their liberal democratic plantation politics on that side, with just big government tax and spend, and then rely on the government only, and we'll just send you a stimulus check instead of them taking care of themselves and being responsible and accountable for their own actions. You know, like the Republicans are trying to promote to people, because it actually works. So what I'm saying is Obama has to face indictments, and he has to face the same criminal justice system that Trump has to face, and that every Republican and every person and every citizen of this country has to face. Because the Obamas, Oprah, and all these Africans and Black Lives Matter, and all these terrorists, and all these, just like the Taliban, that he gave $8 billion and $80 billion, I think, in Apache and Black Hawk helicopters to, Obama did. And now he thinks he's the head of the CIA, but he's just a delusional sociopath who even if he's related to Ted Kennedy, the CIA killed, John F. Kennedy. Okay, supposedly. He ended up getting shot to death. That they can prove. If the Zapruder tapes are actually, truth, I would assume they are. But what I'm saying is, even if he's related to the Kennedys, and Obama, his white side were slave masters, and they were white slave masters, is what people don't realize, and it goes real deep. But what I'm saying is that none of that absolves him from his legal consequences of him not facing justice for his actions. Because no one could just come to this country and terrorize this country and just move to Hawaii and just steal trillions of dollars, burn down the cities, kill people, rewrite the Constitution, attack white people for 15 years, and then just move and get rewarded with 3 mansions and some compound in Hawaii and Honolulu, or wherever he's building that, where Hawaii 5-0 used to be. Makes no sense. He's not Tom Selleck, and he's a terrorist. And innocent people get shot in the face every day in Chicago. Innocent children die every day in Chicago who've never done anything because of God's will that's written wrong. But I'm telling people they should have never promoted Barack. They should have never gotten behind him because he's an aberration. He's the son of the devil. Okay, and no one's paying me to say this, and I'm not part of any Republican group. I'm not part of any white power group or anything like that. I'm not part of any anti-African group or anything like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm just somebody who speaks the truth, who can't believe what has happened to Chicago. And just like Lori Lightfoot, that midget dwarf with bug eyes, she's from Ohio, and she's an ignorant lesbian who was a lawyer who broke the laws as a lawyer. And that's all she's done is Rahm Emanuel has set them up. And Rahm Emanuel, why isn't he put in jail? Why aren't they indicting Rahm Emanuel for putting Lori Lightfoot and Obama in power? Makes no sense. And Dick Durbin, that dumb Pollock from Chicago, why don't they put him in federal prison for even finding Barack Obama, even allowing Rahm Emanuel to do this, and even allowing Lori Lightfoot to be in power? All these people are total criminals. They're all career criminals. And it doesn't matter how I feel towards them personally. I have every right to say what I have to say. It's freedom of speech. But I'm telling them, as somebody who's from Illinois, and my family's from Illinois, and we're taxpayers who don't do any of these things, and these people have taken over, and they try to turn our country and our city into a gay Kenyan village run by lesbian women who don't follow the laws, who think they're fake lawyers, or they're real lawyers who don't follow the laws, and then a terrorist from Hawaii who never had a father. And then they're trying to use politics as revenge for what they are saying is white colonialism of the continents. And I'm saying the only thing white people did was free them from slavery. They're talking about 400 years of oppression, but Africa, the continent of Africa, has oppressed Africans for thousands of years, and they didn't get mansions and they didn't get billions of dollars like Oprah did from Africa. Okay, so the U.S. has acted like their rich sugar daddy, and Africa is their broke mother, where they came from, where they only got the African culture, dashikis, djembes, and African suffering there. And the only infrastructure that they have there that's actually, not thatched huts above one level is, beside the Ethiopian Christian churches or something, and pyramids is built by white people who are engineers who could use electricity, water, plumbing, and who because what I'm telling people is everyone who hates white people in the US, they don't understand. Without Europeans, there would be no electricity, there would be no running water and plumbing, there would be no planes, there would be no smartphones, there would be no telephones, no TV sets, they would never have headphones, they would never have CDs, they would never have records, they would never have radios, they would have never had any kind of black literature. It was all printed on German or Chinese printing presses, all these racist books that Africans are reading and hating white people, or all their slave stories. None of it would have ever happened if it wasn't for Germans and Chinese people manufacturing all this so black people can have something. Because Africans couldn't do any of that. Because they're not engineers. Okay, so what they're good at is telling stories, dancing, and singing. And Africans are great athletes, and they're great singers, great actors. I like that. But what I'm saying in general, beside Barack and beside terrorists who are just sentient evil. And now Africans are gotten uppity, and now they're trying to be white-collar yuppies, and, trying to be British, Jewish white-collar yuppies who live in Malibu or the Hamptons, and now they're all trying to be like Steven Spielberg, but they're not Jews. They're not Hebrew Jews from California, so it makes no sense. They're trying to be something they're not. Just like poor white people aren't trying to only live in the Hamptons, and poor Caucasian Europeans aren't trying to just live like Malibu rich people. It's ridiculous. So I'm just telling people, every time they see Barack, they should think of his actions that he's actually done, which is allegedly killing men, being a crackhead, being an alcoholic, selling, weapons to Iran, then nuclear weapons to destroy this country. He gifted the Taliban billions of dollars of Apache and Black Hawk helicopters, probably to try to attack us after knocking out the power grid, which he's trying to build an electric power grid to then try to knock it out. And then try to attack white people with the Taliban and his helicopters and trying to destroy America through the air. Is what, just like Red Dawn, the movie Red Dawn, is what this African is trying to do. Is a stupid child who never had anyone discipline him because he never had a father. His father died in a car accident while he was drunk. And his father just was a British cook who was married to different women, who abused women, and was a drunk who was never in Barack's life. So Barack doesn't come from a legacy of royalty. He doesn't come from a political family. He does not come, beside maybe related to Ted Kennedy, the white side maybe, and slave masters on the white side, but not from his father. Okay? So what I'm telling people, his father was delusional also, and Barack is a sociopath, and he has to be stopped. Okay? And his whole Obama coalition, which is just a terrorist group, has to be dismantled also. No different than the Taliban, no different than ISIS, no different than Black Lives Matter, the same thing. Okay? So that's what I'm telling people, is Barack Hussein Obama has to have the same justice brought to him, and he has to be indicted. He has to be, just like Michelle Obama, just like Oprah Winfrey, just like all the people in Black Lives Matter, and every Chicago Democrat and every Democrat in this country and in the world, they have to be brought to justice, the same justice that everyone else has to deal with, the same justice system, the same legal laws, the same constitutional laws, and they have to reverse everything that Obama did before he took power, because everything he did was illegal. Not because I say so, because he had no legal right to do it, because he wasn't even a continental U.S. citizen. And if that was a loophole, everything he did was not the will of the people. It was against the will of the people, as a dumb African terrorist with no father who just wanted revenge on the U.S. and white people for what he viewed as white colonialism and white people, he thinks, and the slavery of 400 years in this country, which he didn't suffer any of this, and the prison system, and then the Civil War being lost by the South. And that's why Oprah's angry, but she lived in Mississippi. She didn't live in the Deep South even. And that's what I'm telling you, is all these people didn't even suffer racism. What they suffered was abuse by black people, and then they suffered from wanting to imitate white materialism and trying to be a white Jewish, white-collar yuppie and trying to be in power like Ron Reagan or like George W. Bush, and they wanted to be white men in power, but they couldn't be. So all these dumb African women and all these dumb Africans who are trying to be white-collar yuppie Jews, who are trying to imitate either Texas CIA of the Bushes, or they're trying to imitate Steven Spielberg and have mansion parties in the Hamptons, that's not what they are. Okay? If they're poor Africans who are ignorant, who can't even control themselves and they can't even follow the laws, they're not rich cultured people who are Jewish. Okay? Who make the laws and who are smart people in mansions. Okay? If they're dumb project people, and I respect project people because they're much smarter than the Obamas. Most of those people are just godly people with bad circumstance, and they're in a bad situation. And I wish no one had to live in the projects, but that's what I'm saying. Is, you know, I grew up poor, and people on the south side are poor, people on the west side are poor. The Obamas didn't give them, and then they're trying to have the Build Back Better program to steal trillions of dollars to give them better housing than I have, and then make me pay for it through our property taxes and through the TIF funds. And then tell me that I have to pay for people who couldn't historically take care of themselves because they're drunk fathers and drug addict mothers. Do you understand? So, to me, I'm just telling people, Barack has to be indicted. All the Africans who hate white people are completely wrong. They should dislike Africa for what Africa hasn't done for them.